Hey everybody, welcome back. I thought I would try something a little bit different here with this video and start it off on a little bit of what might seem like a somber note here. But my intention is by the end of the video to really leave you in a much more positive, inspiring place. I've got some great news to share with you, but I want to kind of start it on a particular note here and kind of lead the conversation along a particular track. So heads up, fair warning, hopefully you're okay with that. If not, then maybe this isn't the video for you. But there's great information here, so I hope you listen on. So getting right down to it, I had a friend pass away this week. I had a friend who she wasn't really close with me particularly. We weren't super tight, but we were definitely friends and acquaintances. And she was really tight with a lot of people in my community, a lot of people that I know. And she was a very, very special person. She's one of these very rare people you meet that are just exceptionally radiant, bright, good, balanced, just magnetic, vibrant, clear, flowing in their life force, flowing in abundantly in their goodness, like just unstifled, unfettered, not held back in any way, just this radiant, sweet, amazing, amazing human being. She really was. And everyone who knew her loved her, adored her, fell in love with her, became friends with her, appreciated her, respected her, admired her. She touched so many lives everywhere she went. And as I've been kind of reflecting and just kind of grieving and connecting and, looking from afar and just kind of respecting what her family's going through right now, I've been really thinking about how well she lived her life. She's such an amazing example of really living it up. And the reason I bring this up isn't just to bum you out or to be sad or to offload my grief here on camera, but to kind of communicate to you something that I've been learning this week, which is that, of course, death always brings life into focus, particularly living life. And it's really brought into focus for me how much time I've spent out of my precious years, my 20s and my 30s, really kind of caught up in a struggle with mental health, with anxiety, with, experiences I didn't even have the words for at that time. I didn't even know what it was I was dealing with, but I was struggling with avoidance. I was struggling with tons of anxiety, tons of triggers, tons of childhood, issues and PTSD that I had not processed yet, hadn't even recognized yet. And it kept me in a loop. It kept me stuck in a loop of introversion, of fear, of self-isolation, of disconnection, of dissociation from myself, from kind of stepping out of my own body and feeling disconnected from my own power, from ability to make money, ability to build relationships effectively. It really, really stopped me from living fully. And, seeing my friend here, who, while she had a shorter life, lived so beautifully, so fully, so richly, and filled with love and connection and friendships and wild adventures, just puts into focus how important it is to not wait. And I just want to say this to you. Your life is precious. Your time is precious. We all know, it's a cliche, but it's worth saying, tomorrow's not guaranteed to any of us, especially in these times, especially in this world right now with, everything going on. It's crazy and it's heavy and it's been intense and it's been a wild freaking ride since, the beginning of 2020 here. And I don't think it's going to let up anytime soon. And so more than ever, our time and our state and our relationships and our way of being, it means so much more. It's more precious. And so I just want to put it out there to you. If you are kind of in an avoidance state like I was, if you are procrastinating, if you are, avoiding dealing with whatever, emotions you've kind of repressed and stuffed down and you don't want to deal with because you're afraid it's going to be more than you can deal with. If you are avoiding the conversation you need to have with the person you need to have it with, if you're avoiding taking ownership of your own power or stepping into doing something that frightens you or is uncomfortable or overwhelming or outside your comfort zone, and living and fucking living and enjoying being alive, right? And giving your gift and unpacking what the fuck you have inside of yourself to give to others, to give to the world, to like just, because here's the thing. I'm on a rant. Here's the thing. Each one of us is an infinity of unique gifts. No one else can give the gift you have to give in this world. No one else has your smile. No one else has your vibe. No one else has your experiences and the beauty you carry and the wisdom you carry and the things you've seen and the unique perspectives you have. You know, no one can really reach others in the same way that you can. Period. And so you have this opportunity, and we all have this opportunity. And I just want to I know it's a little heavy, but I just want to put this message out there that if you're struggling with, some sort of mental health issue, whether it's kind of mild or severe, and it's inhibiting you from living your life fully, and it's stopping you from sharing, communicating, connecting, whatever, enjoying, receiving, fucking exploring, adventuring, whatever it is for you, I encourage you to just get on with healing. Just get on with finding out. Get on with getting the tools to start to feel better. And I'm assuming if you're watching this channel because, we're kind of looking at psychedelics and spiritual growth and self-actualization, but we're also looking at mental health here, and we're looking at personal development here, and, resolving the issues that might be blocking us from self-actualizing and from our spiritual growth. If you're watching this channel, there's a very good chance you are dealing with anxiety. There's a very good chance you might be dealing with depression. And so I just want to put this message out there for you. And I wanted to just kind of tie this in because over the last couple weeks, I'm sure you've noticed I have not been posting many new videos. There's a reason for that. I have been creating my first course, which is, it's designed to be a mini course. It's supposed to be small, quick, easy to learn for you. But it ended up taking me weeks and weeks, of course, to create, true to Murphy's Law here, with lots of reshoots and lots of effort. And it's not a perfect course. I'll tell you right now, it's highly imperfect, particularly my delivery on camera. I know that. I'm working on it, but I wanted to get this information out to you. So here's the thing. As far as I can tell, based on everything I'm seeing online, with people getting in the psychedelic space with microdosing, people getting in the psychedelic space with macrodosing, a lot of that is for mental health purposes. Not all of it, but a lot of it. I got into psychedelics more for the novelty, for the recreation, for the enjoyment and the curiosity and the weirdness of it. But along the way, it certainly became poignantly clear that I needed them as mental health support as well. But now we're in this phase in the world in 2021 where it's kind of a meme. It's kind of a mimetic understanding that part of psychedelics is psychedelic therapy. So people are kind of seeing all the science, they're seeing everything, they're coming in, and they're wanting to use psychedelics to self-regulate, to take care of themselves. And here's what I think is kind of where the rubber meets the road. Because here's the thing, like I said, it's been a crazy fucking 2 years. I think it's probably going to be crazy for quite a while longer. I don't think that we're just going to suddenly all be vaccinated and everything's going to go back to normal and we're all good. I think we are entering a new era of the world. I think things will be permanently changed. I do think they'll get better, but I think it's going to be a strange ride between here and there. And I think it's going to be challenging. And I think we're going to need all the tools we can get to feel better, to stay centered, to stay aligned, to stay happy, to stay clear, to stay sane, to stay in ourselves, to not, space out or get distracted or get spun out in some crazy narrative, but stay centered in ourselves and in our hearts and in our minds and in our humanity. And so, okay, I'm kind of riffing on a couple different tangents here. Let me tie this all together for you. This course I made is a course on self-regulation. I think rubber meets the road, kind of practical, bottom line. What does everybody need out there in terms of mental health tools? because we have millions and millions and millions of people who are struggling with their mental health, need mental health tools, and we don't have that many therapists. And even if we had enough therapists, a lot of those therapists aren't very good, and a lot of them don't know how to help you self-regulate. If you go to most therapists for help, what you're going to get is a prescription for meds. And it's not necessarily going to be necessarily the right fit at first, even if they work. And personally, I'm not a big fan of meds in general. And probably if you're into psychedelics, you're not either. And so that's out of the therapists we have. There are a lot of therapists who aren't very good at what they do. And there's not that many therapists out there. There's way more need for mental health tools. And a lot of people come to psychedelics because they want to self-regulate. But here's the thing about psychedelics. As much as I love them, as important as they are still chaotic. They're still a little bit of a gamble. Because when you take a psychedelic, neurologically what happens is your brain crossfires, and different regions and areas of your brain that normally don't connect and associate start to connect and associate. Now, when that goes right, you can have these amazing epiphanies, you can have these breakthrough moments, you can have profound joy and bliss and insight and, like a dawning of new aspects of yourself. It could be fucking amazing, and we probably all know that. But the other side of it is that it is chaotic, and it's also possible to have a negative experience get wired in there too, or awaken in there too. And so I think as wonderful as psychedelics are for self-healing, and I think they're an important part of the path, I don't think they're the foundation. I don't think they're the fundamental thing. What I think is the foundation is self-regulation tools. And unfortunately, the good news is that more and more people are discovering these self-regulation tools. The bad news is they're not discovering them nearly fast enough or enough of them enough. So I want to just offer you this idea. I want you to consider that the most practical thing you can do for your mental health to stay centered as the world goes crazy and is chaotic, and to start to offload whatever it is that might be holding you back and holding you from enjoying your life and living your life the way you want to live it. The very fundamental thing we all need in terms of mental health skills is a set of self-regulation tools to get out of triggers, to get out of fight or flight, to get out of depression, to get out of freeze states, and back into a nice parasympathetic, aligned way of being. And so that's exactly what I built. Out of all the things I'm learning, and all the things I've studied in hypnotherapy and NLP and, spirituality and meditation practices and energy, all that shit, right? I've learned so much. But when I really started to read what people are experiencing online and why they're doing psychedelics and what happens when they're taking them, whether it's microdosing or macrodosing, when I really look around at just people I know who are profoundly, beautiful souls who are spiritually, cultivated, but still struggling with mental health, and looking at what's the gap there, what's missing for them so that they can be in alignment with their mental health. When I look at just the people in my life who are struggling and, quite frankly, aren't that healthy or aren't that evolved and really need support, what's the common denominator across the board? The common denominator is a lack of self-regulation skills. So I've made this mini course. It's affordable. It's 10 techniques that you can use right away to start to shift and rewire your brain out of a triggered state. So whether a trigger lands you in like a avoidance thing, or like it did for me, or a fight thing where you're just angry and irritated all the time, or in a freeze thing where you just kind of dissociate and you're just dysfunctional a big chunk of the time, or whether it lands you in, depression or anxiety, or, it's situation dependent, whatever it might be, I really feel deeply in my heart of hearts for everybody's quality of life that the tools that I've created in this course will change your life and are really what we all need in terms of self-regulation. So that's what I've been up to over the last couple of weeks, and I'm really happy to share this with you. I'm really proud of the work. Like I said, the course is not perfect, mostly my skill on camera, but I'm working on that, and I may reshoot it later on down the line, but the content is solid. The content is all based in energy psychology, hypnotherapy, NLP, practices like EFT, havening, et cetera, et cetera. There's 10 of these that are just what I think are truly amazing, kind of profound tools that change lives, that change my clients' lives, change my own life, that change people's lives whenever I share them with them. The thing is that we can go through life using our old coping mechanisms, which is an attempt to self-regulate, right? We can go through with whatever it is, self-abandonment, or, being addicted to something online, or being addicted to food, being addicted to video games, or porn, or drugs, or alcohol, or socializing, or, politics, and getting upset about things and being angry so that we don't have to think about our own issues, whatever the fuck it is. These are all coping strategies. And they're all ways of trying to really bring ourselves back into a state we like to be in, that we'd prefer to be in, rather than confront whatever it is we don't want to confront in ourselves, whether that's sadness, fear, mystery of an unsolved problem that we can't quite process, whatever it might be. Now, obviously, this is work I do with people, and this is stuff I teach with my clients, but I wanted to just take 10 of the maybe 40 or so techniques I know like this, kind of pull together my very favorites, the ones that I found work the best for me, are the most powerful, the most useful, the most immediate, that can really get you out of a trigger, boom, in 30 seconds, in a minute, in 2 minutes, and help you literally break the neural path and rewire your brain of the circuit of whatever the state that you don't want to be in anymore is. So I put that all together in this package here for you. There's a little bit of kind of introduction information so that you kind of understand it. You get a little context around it, then these tools, and then it's really up to you to apply them. But I just want to make this course. I wanted to just encourage you guys, whoever you are out there, whoever you are watching this, to get after it. Life is too beautiful. It's too precious, especially when we're young. It's too easy to think that the future is guaranteed and we're all going to live a long, healthy, happy life. But I can tell you, now being in my mid-40s, I know quite a number of people who passed early, or who have had life, turn on them in really dramatic, difficult ways. Nothing's guaranteed to any of us. And I don't say that to scare you, but just to remind you, just to help you get fucking focused, to get clear on what really matters. And you matter, and your life matters, and the truth in your heart matters, and what you're carrying matters. You've got something unique, something beautiful, something interesting, and it might just be the way you are around others. That is a gift. That if you are too caught up in your own self, you won't ever unpack and be able to share. And I know that firsthand, because that's been my story for 20 years. I'll tell you what, there's no amount of sitting by yourself, putting it off, processing, over-processing, ignoring, that will solve it. There's no amount of avoidance that will solve it. There's no amount of any of those approaches that works. Believe me, I tried. What does work are these tools. In my experience, one of the things that makes these tools great, I know I'm kind of just rambling here, but I care. I hope you get that. I really care. And I'm really excited about this. These tools make all the fucking difference. At least they have for me. I've tried meditation since I was 15. I've tried extreme spiritual practices, ayahuasca, high doses of psychedelics, what else? Therapy, coaching, personal development seminars. I've tried just about everything to clear the underlying trauma, the underlying tension, the underlying anxiety, the underlying depression, the underlying fear that I was carrying with me everywhere. And, these things are circular. They're things that the nervous system learns and are embedded in there. So it's not personal. It's just things your brain thought helped you survive. So it keeps doing over and over. And then we build identities around them. We create this crust of rationalization that turns into identity where we're like, oh, well, that's just me. That's just how I am. This is how I've always been. I've been there. But none of that is true. That's not who you are. That's not how you've always been. In fact, the crazy thing about it is you have moments throughout your day where you don't feel whatever your problem might be. So if it's anxiety for you, you have problems throughout your day, or you have problems throughout your day. You have moments throughout your day where you don't feel anxious. I guarantee you. But you probably don't identify with those moments, or you don't think about them, or you don't lean into them. Right? So our brain is changeable. But one thing it'll do is once it's learned a pattern, it will represent it over and over and over. I almost think of it like if you're, a musician like I am, like live looping. If you've ever seen live looping, where someone has a pedal and they play an instrument and they play a phrase into it, and then they step on the pedal and it just loops over and over. And that's what our brains do. And that's not a bug, that's a feature. That means the brain learns on its own. It's self-learning. It's deeply intelligent. It notices patterns and it makes associations and assumptions. And a lot of times it will associate certain states that we go through from certain life experiences, and it will keep doing that because it thinks that that's what helps us survive. So if whatever it is you're dealing with, if you need self-regulation, these tools are amazing. And they're amazing because they're not really psychological. I mean, they get to the core of your psychology, but a lot of them are physical. A lot of them are about communicating with the nervous system to just help it offload and break that pattern. So you don't have to think of this in a conceptual way and try to dig into what's my story and what's the narrative and what's the issue and where did it come from and what's the first root cause of it all, and how come I can't remember my trauma. It doesn't fucking matter. You can just simply help your nervous system offload these patterns and come back to center. So that's what I've created in this course. I'm very excited to share it with you. I think you're going to get a lot out of it if you get it. It's very affordable, and I'll be putting up the link shortly here. I'm just kind of finalizing the editing and getting it to look right and work right. It'll be streamable and downloadable, so you can own a copy of it, but you can also access it wherever you are. So I just want to share all that with you, and I'll be talking more about self-regulation because I think this is really the place to start for most people when it comes to mental health, clarity, a sense of expansion and freedom and well-being that we're kind of all seeking and wanting. Anytime we're looking at feeling better, a lot of times it's just about getting out of the muck of feeling triggered or in fight or flight or in some sort of a state and back to sympathetic, coherent, balanced nervous system. So that's really where I want to start. And then once more of you guys are self-regulating and learning these tools, then from there we can start to talk about how to use psychedelics to really rewire your brain and get more into self-actualization, using the positive states that you discover to start to really heal, really wiring those into the nervous system. That's kind of the next level up from this work. And I think it's amazing. I'm so juiced up about it. I can't wait to share it with you. But this is the right place to start for most people because, I get comments on my channel all the time. I get emails, people reaching out. They need help. There's a world of people out there that need help. And so, I just want to put that out there. Life's precious. Your life is precious. Life is short. And life's going to be fucking weird and crazy for a while. So how are we going to stay sane through all of it? We're going to stay sane through all of it by self-regulating. So, I'll be sharing more about this course, but I just want to kind of say hello and wish you all the best and just kind of leave you this message. So hopefully it touches you. And thanks for watching. Big love to you all. Take care.